Welcome. I'm Harmony Slater, your host of the Finding Harmony podcast. Over the past 20 years, I've taught thousands of yoga teachers and students to explore the intersection between ancient wisdom and modern everyday life, using mind-body practices to heal, awaken, and manifest their dreams from the inside out. This podcast is a sanctuary for those feeling overwhelmed by life's challenges. Are you ready to jump in and discover how these challenges aren't actually in the way, but are the way to finding harmony? Let's invite the magic back in. What does it really mean to stay devoted to a practice for decades and still allow it to evolve with you? Again, we're having a conversation with one of Ashtanga's old school teachers, and this conversation is a really special one for those of you who live inside the daily rhythms of Ashtanga. And maybe you remember the early days, or maybe you feel nostalgic about it, or maybe you weren't there, you're brand new, and you're curious what it was like. Then this episode is for you, because we are having a conversation about what it means to navigate this changing world of yoga. I'm joined by, of course, my co-host, Russell Case, and Jodi Blumstein, who is a longtime Ashtanga yoga practitioner who has been deeply immersed in this tradition since the mid-90s. And Jodi has studied with some of the most influential teachers, true legends in the practice of our time. And she also went on to found one of the first Ashtanga yoga schools in Chicago before moving to Los Angeles, where she led the Mysore program at YogaWorks, legendary place, for over 15 years. She's someone who has truly lived through this huge evolution of the practice from the early 2000s, from opening her own studio in Chicago to moving to LA and the rise of LA yoga and moving to teaching online and what it's like to teach online and also teaching all over the world online. And so in this episode, we're talking about what it means to become a teacher in yoga today and how teaching has changed, how adjustments have changed, how the practice has changed and shifted and evolved over time, and some ideas about how we can stay rooted in something truly authentic and also stay true to ourselves as we continue to grow and evolve as practitioners and teachers. So this conversation is honest, it's nuanced, and it's full of lived experience. I can't wait for you to dive in with us and with Jodi. So let's jump in now. Hello. I have someone very special for you, not you, Russell, someone else today as our guest. Because we were just talking last week to Tina Bach. Was it Tina? Who
you
told
asked
us
me not to speak.
who told us that she first was introduced to Ashtanga yoga on
Yoga Glow.
Yoga Glow from you.
Jodi Blumstein.
Doing all of your classes on Yoga Glow. Jodi Blumstein, hello. Welcome.
Hi.
It's amazing to see you with your clothes on.
Actual clothes.
Actual clothes.
And my hair's down. It's not in braids.
Yeah.
No, but it's true. You did that naked yoga, didn't you? You did do that stuff.
No, I
That
never
wasn't
did.
you? Never
No.
mind. That's somebody else.
I feel flattered, though.
Somebody else from California that I thought was you. Never mind.
No, I've just been like Ashtanga for 32 years.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, but you're not from LA, are you?
No. I'm originally from Chicago.
No.
Yeah, I grew up in the northwest suburbs, and I had a yoga studio in Chicago in like
That's
19...
right.
What was it?
19...
Like 1999, 2000, 2001, 2002.
Okay. Because my first teacher is Sudha.
Oh my God, he was my first Ashtanga yoga teacher too.
I was at the School of the Art Institute in 93, and he did the classes there and University of Chicago and Northwestern. Were you at
Right.
university? Is that what
No. He was just the only person in Chicago who could count in Sanskrit and lead a
Right.
primary series class.
At the
And
NU Yoga Center.
at NU Yoga Center.
Yeah.
And I was like a personal trainer, like a spinning instructor kind of person, and I had a lot of clients. And when I got interested in yoga, I luckily fell into a vinyasa class, and very quickly somebody said, you need to go to this class on Saturdays. And it was his full primary. And I didn't know what hit me when I went to that class, because
I remember walking in there, and he had told me, like, you should really come on the weekends. And I was like, that's really expensive, was what I said. But I came in, and there was a girl wrapped up in with her legs, and she had her arms back, holding her toes.
Yeah.
And I thought she looked like a goddamn alien. I had never seen anything like that before. Baddha Padmasana. I'd never seen anything like that before in my life. And I didn't know it was physically possible. And I was like, this is the shit. This is what I want to do.
That's so interesting that we have that in common. Like my history, it's like there was no Mysore style, nothing. There was just that one lead primary. Everything else was like a vinyasa style class, and not very many at all. And then there was an Iyengar school. But yes, he had just wandered. He had just gone to India and happened to find Pattabhi Jois. Yeah. And like it impacted him.
He was in the city in the north.
Rishikesh?
He was in Rishikesh, and he had taken his vow of celibacy. And he was very good. He was a very able practitioner. And someone said to him, and I don't know that part of the story, but someone said to him, if you're really interested in the asana part, then there is a specialist for just that in Mysore. And so he went down to Mysore to do it. And so when we met him, he was still celibate, but now evidently he has a girlfriend and a Porsche, and he's living it up.
He went to Austria.
In Austria, which is where you should have a girlfriend and a Porsche. That's awesome. Him and Toto Wolff. Adolf Weixler, which is a hell of a name.
So you're still in touch with him. You are connected. No. You follow him.
I emailed him a bit, but I just have always kept tabs on him because I just adore him, and he was the model for me. I looked at him. I was 18 years old, and I looked at him, this ancient person. He was like 41.
At the time.
At the time, just ancient, just older than dirt. And he was lithe and thin and graceful and just flip into a handstand. And I thought, as David Williams would say, the only old people I knew were old and sick. And I didn't know any old and wise people. Yeah. And this was the first one.
It was also really fortunate because in those very early days, the first 5 years or so that I was doing Ashtanga, he brought Karen Haberman and her boyfriend Gerard from they had that place in in India that was like this French
Pondicherry.
And he brought Dina, but I had already met Dina by then. He brought the Australian man who passed, David Roche and Simi Roche.
David Roche.
He brought some teachers to his studio, and he brought Richard Freeman and
Manju.
I didn't do Manju there.
Oh, you didn't do Manju there? Okay.
But it was like I just got to meet those people and take classes with them, and that was really great.
David Swenson.
And then you did bring David Swenson to a church in Evanston.
Yeah, I remember that, and he had told me about
it. There at the church in Evanston.
He gave me a flyer, and I looked at that, and I said, "Oh, that's another thing I can't afford." He had told me that he needed $20 for me for the yoga mat that he had given out to everybody, and I just said, "Oh, that's another thing I can't afford. I can't afford any of this shit."
You were like an art student.
I was stone broke. I was losing weight because I couldn't afford food. I was really struggling. But the yoga thing is I'm just gonna keep doing this.
Yes, I know. There's something about that, right? Like that period of time where it just came into my life, and then I just trusted it and kept following it, as we all did. Yeah. And here we are. It's never really done me wrong.
Yeah.
It didn't really get me super rich or anything, but...
Right, yeah. No, you've got beautiful paintings behind you. I remember sometime in 1995, maybe, he had just come back in the wintertime in January.
You're talking about
Suda, and he was brown and rippling with veins.
He was going to Kovalam. I think he was going to Kovalam, right?
Okay. And he came back, and I just this guy's so gorgeous. I want to be like that. And somebody said, I heard that Pattabhi Jois is really hurting people. He was standing on them and breaking their hamstrings and stuff. And he said, well, you have to be careful. And he didn't talk much, Sudha. You have to be careful. And I just remember in the back of my mind hearing about it, it was like, oh, I don't care. That's what I want to do. I want to go someplace where somebody is being dangerous and we're doing like the real shit. As soon as I can, I'm going to go there.
What year exactly you walked in?
Well, in 1995, I made the decision. I remember hearing about Matthew Sweeney.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. And he told me, Matthew Sweeney is practicing 8 hours a day. I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to practice 8 hours a day. He said, you really shouldn't do that.
But you were 19.
I was 19. It's like, I want to practice
He's a baby.
8 hours a day, just like Matthew Sweeney. But I was so poor for so long that it was impossible. When did you get it together to go?
Tell us about your first trip, Jodi.
So the thing that happened for me was that I'm a little older than you. So I was,
5 years.
25 in 1995. So I started going to classes and doing things in Chicago. And I was very fortunate because between Sudha and my friend Darren, who was really not really an Ashtanga teacher, but whatever, very business-minded. So they were bringing people in, right? And it was really like Darren brought Tim Miller. And the first time Tim came to Chicago, by then I was really trying to practice. I didn't really there were no classes except for Sudha's. And we had this like group of people. We were into it. And it's funny, somebody just messaged me like yesterday on Instagram because I posted this thing about being on the beach. And he was like, you've always liked the beach. So we would take our mats and we would go to Oak Street Beach where it was hot in the summer. And we would do Ashtanga outside. And we took Tim there.
Oh, amazing.
And we did a group practice outside.
Tim, I would be there.
Tim said we were making asanas of ourselves.
Yeah.
His dad humor.
Fantastic.
Yes. So that was when Tim came. I spent the weekend. We did this long thing with him. He stayed for longer than a weekend, I feel like. And we had this morning practice with him. And then I said goodbye to him and I broke into tears. And that was like the first time I felt like I had a teacher.
Yeah.
So Tim was like the first.
More so than Sudha.
Sudha led me through the primary series, but I did not have a bond with him.
Was it the Austrian Adolf part? Is that the piece?
He counted in Sanskrit with a German accent, and I didn't know what he was talking about.
And it was like, oh, that's a little grating. I have a cultural, physical memory of this in my past.
But the thing is that I didn't really study at NU. I only went to that one class.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was doing these classes like at that time. Darren was doing these like flow classes that were like the first time Chicago ever had like a scene. It was like it was like this place he rented, and all the cool people were there, and it was sweaty.
Oh, that's why I wasn't there. That makes sense.
Yeah, it was probably expensive. And
like $10 a class.
$10.
I don't have $10 for food this week. Are you kidding?
Yeah. So all of that was going on, like mid '90s, and as all of that developed, some of these people that I was like hanging out with, Darren, Amy Beth, like they were my people, and they were going to India, coming back, and my friend Shanna Lynn, and then eventually one year they came back and they were like, you got to meet this woman. She's coming to San Francisco. And I flew to San Francisco and I spent like 3 weeks with Dina and Jack.
Wow.
I was like 96, 97.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, so I had all these like things going on, and I hadn't gone to India yet. And then this is really the thing that happened was Darren started going to India like he was going for winters. But he hadn't opened his studio yet. I knew he was going to, but like I don't know what it was in me, but I was like, I think, I want to open a studio. And Amy Beth and I started hunting for space, and we found a space, and we had a plan. Like she was going to get Pattabhi Joyce's blessing, and we were going to start the school. It was going to be like an Ashtanga school. She literally called me from the airport and was like, I'm not going to do it. And she backed out. She opened a school later on her own. And I had not been to India at this point. I was sort of the one that was going to like sign the lease, paint the walls, kind of get it ready. And everybody was like, you should do it anyway. So I did it. And it just kept pushing off, like I kept not getting to go to India. Right. So by the time I did go to India, I was almost ready to like be done owning a studio.
You're like, okay.
I came back from India, and about a year later, I sold my studio to Darren. And
Amazing.
About a year later than that, I left, and I came to LA.
Wow. Was that the Moksha studio?
He's Moksha, and he bought, mine was called Priya Yoga. Priya Yoga. Yeah.
I remember Russell Kai telling me about your studio once. Yeah. You guys.
I was going to say, Russell, you used the right name.
I don't call him that. I remember when he introduced himself to a friend of mine as whatever fucking name he had.
Govinda.
And it was like, you're not fucking Govinda, bro. You're Russ.
You know,
and I know each other for a long time. You're Russ.
Let me tell you a story. I got to the airport to go to meet Dina Kingsburg. I was with my friend. Was she with me? Yeah. From Chicago. We were late. We ran to 4th Street, 4th and Folsom. Dina was doing a demo upstairs. This is the first time I met Russell.
Yeah.
Dina was doing a demo. Were you there? It was up at, it was at...
It probably, if it costs money, no.
Okay. The demo was free, I think. And she did this, I remember coming in from, because there were stairs going up there, and I opened the door. We were late, and it was Sheila Chandra was playing, and we got to the top, and there was Dina doing the most gorgeous yoga I'd ever seen. And then when she finished, it was like, it was 3rd series, and then he covered her, and he was like, she's going to rest now, with his accent. And I was like, oh. Anyway, and that was the beginning of the workshop that I took with her. And that was at a place really near where that first Cafe Gratitude was. Yeah.
What year did Amma die or pass away?
I think it was 2002 or 2001. Yeah. Maybe 2001 or 2000.
That was a little earlier. I think it was a little, because that was my first Mysore class. I went to New York for some reason, and I think I was visiting to see which school I was going to go to. And maybe it was that. And I remember he put me on my ankles for the first time.
Was it Eddie?
No, it was Russell and Christopher Hildebrandt's studio. And it was in
was like a Jivamukti class.
It was a Jivamukti, yeah. It was a Jivamukti, but they were doing a Mysore class upstairs, and they'd separated their classes with a curtain. This is Russell's side, this is Christopher's side.
Oh, and they couldn't share?
No, they couldn't share. They were like, we are separate classes. And so I was on Russell's side, and I remember like I did 5 things I didn't know I could do. Like I did primary series, and he wrapped me up into everything, into every posture. And where I was back, because I was in Texas by then, in 98,
Well, you
99.
really got around.
I did. And in 1999, and I remember coming back to Texas, that was crazy, guys. You have no idea what this can be like. He I had no idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was your first trip to Mysore like?
Yeah.
My first trip to Mysore?
Yeah. You're in Lakshmipuram.
I stayed for like 4 months. It was a little bit rainy. It was summerish. And then I was there at the very end. It was supposed to be the last day. I think he ended up... it was the last classes in Lakshmipuram.
2002?
2002, right?
Yeah.
And then, I did get to go to his birthday that summer, which was at the Gokulam house.
Right.
Oh, nice.
The toilets still had paper on them, like they had just been delivered and installed. And I was like, toilets!
Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. A toilet.
A toilet.
Was it gold, that toilet?
No.
Plated? No.
You're making up
I made
stuff.
that up. Okay.
That's a different
It's someone else's house.
horrible topic, right? Yeah, but I never practiced there. And then I guess I always thought I'd go back, but when Pattabhi Joyce died, it just didn't feel really relevant for me. I practiced with Sharat when he would come, and tour around. But I didn't properly study with Sharat at all. And, I had a small child, and I've kind of always had to hustle. So I would spend time with Tim, especially after I moved to California, and I still see Dina. And then something shifted at a certain point, and I started going to Maui and spending a lot of time with Nancy Gilgoff.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. That's a great time.
What do you feel like the difference is in the flavor of all these senior teachers?
Totally. I love that
there's
topic.
the Goy and the Judy.
I think we all get something different from them. But in your experience, what was your sort of attraction to them, and what did you receive?
Tim because I did a lot of work with him, and I did all of his like primary series training, intermediate series training. I did the only third series thing.
Yeah, he did that one a little while ago, right? Like, now it was a while, like a decade, I guess.
Yeah, it's been 2017 or 2016.
Yeah.
The thing that he would do in those that was really nice is we'd have story time with him. And he would always talk about his time with Pattabhi Jois. He would do a significant amount of like reading sutras or reading us from the Mahabharata or something. And he loved to talk about, the Hindu mythology stuff. He loved to talk about Hanuman. We would always chant with him. But most of all, as a teacher, Tim really taught me how to adjust.
Yeah.
He's such a good adjuster.
Yeah.
So I would say that was it with him. He was just so good. Dina, it's like the way she teaches verbally, her vocal, like eloquence, her voice, the poetry that comes out of her.
I know. She just teaches in poetry. It's so beautiful.
It makes you cry as soon as you hear her voice. And the chanting with her.
Yeah.
I also really appreciated the way that she would, maybe go after is the wrong way of putting it, but if she saw that a girl who was really talented was giving her pushback, the way that she would go after to unscrew that girl was really kind of profound to see.
She's softened, I'd say. She has softened. But yes. No, she could be firm.
Yeah.
Firm.
Yeah.
Pointy.
Yeah.
Pointy.
Yeah. Now, Nancy had that too. Nancy had a lot of firmness. I'm really so grateful I spent time with Nancy.
Yeah.
She had like a total healer.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say it like this. Like, I always thought that in a lot of ways, Nancy was the most experienced Ashtanga yoga teacher on the planet because she learned it really early. She had her child. She kind of hunkered down. And while we were all kind of doing our beginning, she was teaching Mysore style for literally 40 years. And when I would run into trouble, like I had a little episode with my lower back that went on for a while. She could like see through. She had like eyes of like she could see. Really, she was a healer, and she understood the practice enough to understand in her own way like what I needed in a very different way than Tim or Dina would have ever brought me. I really feel like Nancy gave me different vision into how to use the practice for healing. Practicing with her is very different.
Yeah.
I met her in New York in 2001. She came to Guy's place.
Right.
And I remember I got up and did my normal kind of thing, got my coffee ready, and went in to do my practice with, and I was like, oops, something went out of place, and like a rib went out. And I was like, oh, shit. Not, on my way there. I was like, oh, it clenched up, shit. And so I've got this, my back is clenched up, and so for me, I know, okay, 50% is gone of what I'm going to be able to do. Go into the room, and I'm doing my
Bomber.
sun salutation, and I think I must have been sitting on my mat first, and she just came up behind me and touched my back before I'd even started and said, what's going on there? I'm like,
yeah, she's a witch. She's a full witch.
How do you know there's something going on? Like, I haven't done anything yet. She pointed right at the spot, touched it.
Oh, yeah, no, she's...
It was crazy.
Yeah. I mean, did you ever have David Williams adjust you, ever?
You did.
I did, yeah.
He's a great chiropractor.
He is.
He understands. And when they went, I don't know about, she knew it. She actually offered to teach it to me, and I never went to Maui and just said, okay, yes, I'll do the bone setting. She wanted to teach me the bone setting. They learned it, Indian bone setting, it's called. It's basically chiropractics. And
you get it at the hairstylist will do your nail.
Yeah, because they used to, when they would teach on Maui in the very early days, they would, whatever they did, Mysore style or lead, I don't know what they did back then. I'm sure it was Mysore style. They would adjust everybody in Shavasana.
Yeah, the cracking bone setting.
Everybody.
Wow.
Everybody.
That's...
Yeah.
I did a cranial sacral with Nancy. We spent a couple weeks learning it. There's like 4 of us in the room, including Nancy, and she taught us cranial sacral. And it was like,
in New York or?
In
Mysore, she was teaching.
I was in somebody's house, and nobody paid. She just taught us all how to hold the head and then like listen. I was like,
amazing.
Yeah, it was special.
Yeah.
God.
She was very special. I know. I miss her.
Yeah.
She's
So
just
what?
like such a, like a Patti Smith kind of figure.
Yeah.
Such
Totally.
a punk, so out there, so doesn't give a shit. I remember I called her once to apologize that I wasn't going to be able to make it to practice that morning. I said, well, why the fuck are you calling me, Russell? Why? Just don't come if you're not going to come. And I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. I'm sorry.
I know. Yeah, she was hard to...
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome. Yeah.
Which is interesting because, like, when you've been practicing in the Ashtanga yoga, like, world and scene and, like, tapping into these different scenes and communities, because each city has its own vibe and its own scene and its own characters. And, like, over so many decades also.
Can't believe it. It's gone so fast.
Right? Like, what do you notice the changes are in, like, maybe even the students that are coming, the practitioners? You've had a studio, you teach in person. You've also been, like, this very famous online teacher as well. So what's your experience with all that?
So I think there's two things. So one thing is that, and this is fascinating to me, but there is an entire, so Ashtanga yoga was always like the thing that like wasn't very popular. You know, like, so if you went to like YogaWorks doesn't really count, but YogaWorks was built around like there was Mysore and then there was everything else. And like when I started with Yoga Glow, for instance, you know, the Ashtanga wasn't really like getting them a lot of draw, but like, you know, all the other things they were doing kind of, I always believed like, everything else holds space so that you can have the Ashtanga. The Ashtanga was never really like the breadwinner, right? But that really changed with Instagram, unfortunately or fortunately. And I think that when Pattabhi Jois died and Sharath really kind of restructured how he was doing things, and he, you know, sort of developed a different way of educating people. And we had this sort of new tier of teachers who came out who were like more famous, younger, and in some ways, they teach very differently from me. And I think that's just a function of time. Because I think eventually they'll teach more like me. But like, I just think that that idea of you have to be able to stand up from a back bend before you learn Pashasana. It's like that thinking, like, it's just, that's very like...
It's not Nancy, it's not Manju, it's not...
Right.
It's not,
it's not even...
the Montreal folks.
Oh, Darby's.
And
the
Darbies.
Yeah. It's,
right.
Yeah.
It's not even, I don't think, you know, Tim.
No.
Yeah.
So, you know, these days it's interesting. Like, I was thinking about how people would talk about, like, as you get older, you lose certain things, right? Like, you lose your fourth or you lose your third. I actually believe that you keep as much as you can of first, and you keep as much as you can of second, and you keep as much as you can of third.
Yeah.
You try to do as much as you can.
Yeah.
It's not like you just take third away. You know, just you do as much as you can. And so there has to be a way to modify all the sequences, and I like teaching that. That's my thing.
Nice.
You know, I teach my students a little bit of third. I think that's really important for them. Otherwise, they don't get stronger.
Who were we talking to the other day? David Keel.
Yeah.
David
Kyle.
Yeah.
I was in Mysore with him. I remember,
Great dude. And he was saying, he did a survey of old students and practitioners, and he said that 95% came in, they just mix and match whatever postures that they still like doing from first, second, third, and fourth, just like you're describing. And I was like, oh, actually, yeah, so do I.
I mean, I wouldn't I still have I'll do half primary one day. I'll do kind of second.
The Nancy
I'll
way.
do... Yeah, so I really feel like it's important not... Like, I try to not do the same practice 2 days in a row.
That's the
Nancy was kind of
that's the
teaching
Nancy
that way.
Yeah. But the Nancy way was the 1975 way.
Isn't that interesting?
No vinyasa.
Yeah. No, I actually think, though, people get more longevity this way. When they do, you know, where they rotate, they actually progress better.
Yeah. Especially after you've learned the sequence and learned a few of the sequences or been moved through gradually over time, you've been doing it for 10 years, then it's where do you evolve to? And I think that's sort of the question that nobody's answering because there's no one around to answer it except for older practitioners. And I think until now, nobody's really been brave enough to actually give some structure to what it might look like to practice differently as you're aging.
Yeah.
To piggyback on that, I would just say that once I got osteoporosis, couldn't round my lower back anymore. There's a lot that there's very little sequencing that you can do progressively. And I really did just have to pick and choose things that I could do. So for your own personal experience, you said you had a little lower back thing, and you said that you do half and half now, and like, what does it look like?
Well, I mean, I think this is more about, like, I have a lot of faith in the Ashtanga system. So what happened for me was I had a kid, I had completed second, I was starting third. I spent a long time where a lot of people stopped at, I don't know, Urdhva Kukutasana B or something, like Galavasana. And just life had me stuck there, and I was teaching a ton. You know, it just caught up with me, and my back started to bother me a lot. It was just really unstable. And when I would go to Nancy, she was like, why aren't you doing third? Like, all a third. And I was like, nobody's ever moved me, or I can't do the arm balances. And she basically had a method, and I teach this now, which is that instead of going like I had done, I spent like 7 years like doing all of second up to Urdhva Kukutasana B.
Yeah.
You know, instead of doing that, just 1 or 2 days a week, just do standing and then arm balances, all of them.
Yeah.
For like 6 months until you can get a little flow through there and then put it all together. And that makes so much more sense to me because I was always too tired and it was like, hot, and I couldn't overcome that. And when I started, as soon as I started doing that, my back got better. Like she knew.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because it really develops the core strength when you're doing all those arm balances, especially lifting from the headstand. You have to learn how to engage your core properly. And so that would then help your low back, which is probably being used doing all of that flexion in the back bends. Yeah, exactly.
But also, if you're ever in Mysore and you watch a 5th series practitioner at work, someone like Mark Yao, then what the rules for us are different than the rules are for them. Because Mark was doing first and second on Sunday, and then third on Monday, and then fourth on Tuesday, and then fourth and fifth on Thursday, and then fifth and third on Friday, and it was like all messed up and jacked up all around.
Are you talking about recently though, or is this 10 years ago?
20 years ago.
25 years ago.
Right, I remember him.
Yeah, and so it's
but what's he doing now?
He gave up. He
gave up Ashtanga. As far as we know.
Yeah, he quit 20. Yeah.
But that's the thing, right? That's the story.
It's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable.
It may not have been sustainable, but at least you saw in evidence how the series was completely different for him every day. And it wasn't static every day. He was doing a completely different stuff.
There's an interesting thing happening now where it's like people come to me, oh, so-and-so's lifting weights. Everyone's lifting weights now. And it's, I mean, I definitely, in the last couple of years, realized, I need to do more cardio. Right? Like, I climb the Santa Monica stairs. And that's my way of doing it. It's free. And it's beautiful. But, like, I'm not so much into, like, lifting weights. But my daughter's a ballet dancer, and she, gravitates towards Pilates things. And so we tried a lot of things out, and we landed on Solid Core, which is a kind of a franchise thing, but, like, it is so good. And I think it's helped my Ashtanga practice so much. And I just really feel like if you take your practice and you just kind of look at it a different way, you don't really need to lift weights. Maybe you just need to hold plank a little differently or a little more and like slow down. There's just things that we can adjust a little bit that can help us stay really strong because so much of it pushes into the joints and the flexibility, but like that is unsustainable.
That's how I got my practice back to where, to practicing advanced series after pregnancy was really just holding plank for 10 breaths and then lowering very consciously in a push. No one taught me that. I just discovered because it engages your core.
Sure.
And using your legs and like really like holding that core strength. And it's kind of how I practice now too, actually. Just really slow, holding that plank, like lowering slowly. going back up into a push-up before upward dog like Dina, teaches. And it's so helpful to like integrate the core. And when you get rid of this feeling like more postures is better, then you can just like really be with whatever postures you're doing and use them in a way that's creating integration rather than disintegration.
Right.
Where do you think the idea stemmed from to be able to think that way? Rather than like adhering to an orthodoxy, you came up with a spark of creativity. Where did that come from?
I just don't like rules. I never have.
Yeah. Okay.
So if somebody tells me it has to be this way, I go, really? I don't think so.
You didn't see anybody do it. You thought, oh, that would work.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, doing workshops with like Chuck and Maddie and Dina, they all really stress doing high plank, using your legs, creating that Tina. Core strength, like integrating the stomach muscles together.
Oh,
like all of that.
Could we take a moment of silence for Lily Has Fallen, who was actually my first yoga teacher, but like on TV?
Yeah, me too. I remember seeing her with the flowers behind her.
Oh my God, it broke my heart. I was before I met Sudha, as a 16-year-old kid, I would just sit there and watch TV.
PBS.
Totally turned on, but also like really doing it. Like she is like the woman for me is what I said to myself. But I'm like, I'm going to try this Baddha Konasana thing that she would have us do. And I was like, I loved her. Really.
How old was she? Was she in her 90s?
I'm going to find out because I wanted to look her up.
I think so, yeah. I think she was like my grandma's age.
Because I only know her as this young, beautiful, gorgeous woman.
My mother always would have that on. Yeah. And it's interesting. I taught a Mysore this morning on Zoom, right? I'm in Los Angeles. My mom is 84. She lives in Chicago. She was on my Mysore Zoom this morning.
Oh, amazing.
She comes every Tuesday. She has this like routine, and my students are always like, "Is that your mom?"
That's awesome.
Because I'm like, Mom, I give her little bits, and she's doing great.
That's awesome.
I can't believe this, but she was 90.
Yeah,
that is not a tragedy. And so if I'll put this up to the screen,
she died of healthy old age.
This is what I was so just so viscerally excited to see this lady, but she's like an old lady. She was a very old lady.
Well, she lived to be 90. Yeah,
she's 90.
Yeah.
Oh man,
I think we're gonna do good. I think we're gonna.
How did you become like the new Ashtanga yoga Lily Has Fallen with Yoga Glow?
How did that happen?
Wow! Oh my God, that's amazing that you just said that. I moved to LA. And I was teaching at the Larchmont Center for Yoga. That was where my Mysore program was. I taught 5 days a week at 11 a.m. I took over for Heather.
Heather Duplex.
Heather Duplex, yeah.
The Duplex.
So Heather and I were friends, and I ended up with her program. Yeah, she moved around a little bit, and then when she was on her way out to leave.
To Bali.
For her man. So
the general.
So at that moment, I was also teaching. I would go in at 6:30 a.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays and do a lead 90-minute class. And one day, this dude showed up. And after I was done teaching, he kind of said to me, I've got this company I'm working on, and somebody told me that, you're the one. At the time, there were other Ashtanga yoga teachers around town, but I was I don't know. I guess I had the, verbal. To do Yoga Glow or to do this sort of filmed thing, you have to be able to really talk through a class. And it's not the same thing as you cannot go in and film 200 versions of counting in Sanskrit. No. You've got to be creative. And they hired me, and they would have me come and do 2 days of shooting. They would say to me a month in advance, okay, we want you to come on this day and this day. We're going to film for 8 hours both days. We want a 90-minute level 3. We want a 30-minute level 2. They would give me a map. Yeah. And I was like, okay. Mm-hmm. And I filmed 200 pieces of content with them. And I did half primary for knee injuries. I did half primary without your wrists. I did everything. I was I did so much. I did every combo of I gave them everything I had.
Wow. And that's awesome.
And then at a certain point, towards the end of that, they hired Richard and Mary to come in as well. And then at a certain point, a couple years later, they completely changed their model, and it sort of changed. And then I stopped taping for them, and they still have my content online. Like, we have an arrangement, and I don't interact there. And it's different. They're not even called Yoga Glow. They're called Glow. They have other fitness stuff. It's different.
Right.
But they were really innovators. They were the very first company to do that. I think after COVID, everybody's online. So it's like, but that work really, like, Tim, if you would go study with Tim, and I would go for weeks, on Sunday mornings, he would lead primary, but then if you came at 8, he would do second with his group. If you came in certain classes, he would do it with you.
Yeah.
He'd do improv on Thursdays, and he'd do it with you. And I developed a habit at Larchmont. I taught Mysore 4 days a week, and on Fridays I did lead primary. I would feel sort of guilty about it, and then I would stop doing it. I would lead, and then I would do it with them. And then eventually I just did it with them. And I found that when I did primary with them on Fridays, it was sharper, faster, the count was good, and like I could really do that. I would get up and adjust a few Mari Ds or something, but I would mostly just stay on my mat. And they learned to expect that instead of expecting me to wander around the whole time talking. And when COVID finally happened and like I lost that space completely and I was just on a screen, it was just a really easy transition for me to be like, I teach this way, I look at you, and sometimes I'm doing it with you and sometimes I don't, but it just translated really easy for me. Yeah, so I like teaching. People are often like, when are you going to go back to teaching? I'm never going back to teaching. I mean, I do privates. And I do very small groups, but I really like teaching this way. Yeah. Wow. I feel like it's the students who come are dedicated. They're happy to be practicing in their own space, and you're helping them have a better experience of home practice because, you're actually giving them a teacher experience instead of just they're on their own. And I find that ultimately the independence of like, I really do Ashtanga yoga. Like I do it. If I'm in a hotel with Jodi and I'm in Berlin, I still do my practice. If I'm home, I do it. Traffic doesn't get in the way. And I like it.
I really love online, like as a, what do you call it, format. Also, not so much for me teaching yoga because I get really bored if I don't have bodies around me. My ADHD starts like, okay, enough. But I love it for like teaching philosophy, pranayama, like connecting with people. And just like, it's so accessible. Podcasts, exactly. It's so accessible. And even like for my own learning, I love learning through courses online and like studying with people that I would never get the chance to really meet or study with otherwise because they live in other cities.
I think we're blessed. And
yeah,
I know there's some Ashtanga teachers that like, they can't make that transition completely, but I do ultimately feel like people would come into... I had that Mysore program at Larchmont for 15 years, right?
Yeah.
And it was a busy studio. I'd get a lot of new people all the time who didn't necessarily return, and I had a whole core group, right? So I always felt like my job was to just encourage people to do a little bit of yoga every day. And if it turned into a lot of yoga, that was great. But like, if they just did like the David Williams, like 3 A's and 3 B's, that's better than nothing and not so overwhelming. And I just think that like for me, that's the way. Just holding space for people to do whatever they can. People are so busy, they're overwhelmed, they've got so much going on in their lives. And I think almost anybody can figure out a way to do like a 15-minute practice. And it's like the gateway, So
to psilocybin. Can I ask you, how did your family get to Chicago?
How did my family get to Chicago?
Yeah.
My ancestors?
Yeah, your ancestors, they're not native to Chicago. Did they come like from like Russia pogroms? Is that how they got to Chicago?
Yes.
So like in 1900?
Of my 4 grandparents, I had one grandmother who came from Calabria in Italy. So I have I'm Italian, a quarter Italian, but that was my father's mother. But all the rest of them, about late 1800s, Poland essentially.
Poland, okay,
Probably Ukraine,
Yeah. We had a lot of Swedish Jews, which are unusual and we settled in farms downstate Illinois. And then my mom converted, and my dad had been a Swedish Jew. And so, anyway, I'm just wondering, like, your parents, were they just kind of into this kind of wild
Not at all.
child? Were they? Did they have other plans for you?
Yes. No.
Did they want you to go to
school? Law school.
Medical school is a great idea. What did they do for a living?
My father was a doctor.
And you didn't do that.
I didn't do that. No.
Oh, my
my sister did that. Yeah, my brother
good
became
for
an accountant.
her.
My sister became a doctor, and I'm the baby.
Oh,
And it's interesting. I dropped out of Northwestern my senior year.
your senior year?
Wow.
You had 9 credits left?
6.
Oh.
Maybe 5. I don't know.
You could still do it online. You could still
I
finish.
know. I probably could. My 60th birthday, I could get my college degree.
Oh, that'd be amazing. They would love that for you.
So what happened was I did that. I dropped out, and I just needed like a change. And I moved into the city, living in Chicago, and I was like living in like Wicker Park, which at the
Nice.
time was like this new burgeoning area. And
Super cool.
I got a job, and I was like putting on heels and skirts and working downtown. And I did that for about 2 years, and I kind of saw what was in front of me. And every night I would go to the gym. I didn't feel good. I didn't feel good inside. I didn't feel good under those lights. I didn't feel good.
Yeah.
Like that lifestyle did not work for me. And I pretty quickly ended up quitting that job, becoming a certified personal trainer, and waiting tables. And
Wow.
I waited tables. I got really lucky. I got to, by the time I was like 23, I was working in a really hipster kind of restaurant.
Did your father stop speaking to you?
He passed away when I was 16. So yes, so I didn't have to. It's okay though, because you're right. I never would have done any of that if I would never have dropped out of college.
Oh my gosh.
So I was very independent. I graduated high school when I was 17,
Yeah.
and I was kind of like it was a different time. Like my daughter, nothing like how I was at that age, right? I was living on my own, driving a car in the city of Chicago, waiting tables, I was really making money. I bought a condo in my 20s, and I opened a business.
Michigan.
Yeah, amazing.
Jesus.
So where do you think the future of Ashtanga yoga is going? Where are we headed?
Okay, so there's a couple of factors, right? So there's, on the one hand, there's the factor of the business model of yoga studios. I don't think it really works very well.
No.
Given the cost of commercial real estate in big cities, right? So like,
Right.
in Los Angeles, in San Francisco, New York, it just doesn't work. I mean, it didn't even work before.
Yeah.
When you had the early models were all, YogaWorks was bankrupting before COVID because,
Yeah.
they would just expand and do like lots of teacher trainings to try to make up the deficit. So like the whole model is really distorted. And now
Yeah,
you see these things that are erupting. I don't know about where you guys are, but here what we have is like these places that are wellness centers that have hot yoga and cold plunges and saunas and their membership. I don't know how long that stuff's going to last either. But they're paying $30,000 rents, right?
And then you got to pay $30,000 as a member at that point.
That's right, basically.
Like
So-
a golf course. Yeah.
I think that those of us who I think we will teach.
Yeah.
And there will always be people who want to learn. And however we choose to teach. And if you're fortunate, I have an old student. She runs a little shala. It's right near where I live. She's just blessed to have, it's very small, but it also, the rent is reasonable. So she can manage that. That's rare. That doesn't happen a lot. And there are different markets, different cities or towns where you don't have to worry about the rent, right? So you can teach.
It seems like the model that has always worked the best is that you retire, you get a pension, you teach yoga out of your living room, and people fly from all over the world to come see you. That's the best way to do it.
Or you have a property and you build
Yeah.
a barn on a tomato farm.
Exactly.
You can do Patabi Joyce or you can do the Nancy way. And that's it. And otherwise it's got to be punk, raw, not a lot of money, but there's a lot of energy. And that only lasts until your first kid.
Basically, that's how that was. What's funny, I taught in my living room when my daughter was like 2 years old. I have photographs of like this house. And then I did it again in Silver Lake. I had a couple spaces in LA.
Oh, you did? You were in Silver Lake. Wow.
I was in Silver Lake. I had a big house. I hosted workshops there. I even hosted.
Wow.
Dina taught in my house. Nancy taught in my house. Do you guys know Josh Michael?
Josh Michael. I don't
Josh
think so.
Michael. He's a Sanskrit teacher he lives in like Marin.
Yeah, I think I recognize
Josh
the name.
Michael and Marin. That's
He's
my
he's mostly
neighborhood.
a Sanskrit. Yeah, he's a Sanskrit guy.
I think I know
hosted
him.
Josh Michael, sure.
He came and taught Sanskrit
I
for
know
a
all the
group of
Jews.
students. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like, for me, I'm going to continue with my online thing. I just feel like it's the most accessible, it's the most helpful way to be. It also carries not as much overhead.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
That is a big one.
And it also frees me, like,
Yeah.
to go other places and teach, so.
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of teachers have their school for somewhere between 5 to 10 years. And then they realize, like, whoa, this is a lot of work for not much
Not much
reward.
money. Mhm.
Not much money, not much monetary, payback. And
A lot of
it
social
seems
isolation.
like it's really for the young in a way. And as soon as you start to, like Russell was saying, get a family or kids, again, teaching Mysore, it's not so accessible to leave your children at 6 a.m.
Every
to
morning.
go.
Or go to
Teach
Mysore
Mysore.
for 4 months of the year.
Yeah,
That's right.
So there's lots of
And
privilege in running that kind of program that doesn't accommodate a lot of diversity in lifestyles or life situations.
Yeah.
And yet, nostalgically, I feel like it is still the best way to do it.
Well, it's a nice way to practice. I think it is the best way to practice Mysore style for sure.
I don't know,
I miss
though. You miss it, yeah.
I miss it, but I also, I retired for a reason.
I feel like I don't know that long term it is the best for people's bodies. 6 days a week, like 1 or 2 days a week, maybe. But like to really be in there every day.
You get a moon day.
But also,
But
I
again-
think it depends on how you practice, like you were saying, Jodi. I mean, you can, to me, Mysore style is like come in and do your practice, which might be some sun salutations. Maybe it's lying with legs up the wall and doing some breathing. Maybe it's, right? Like for me, my definition of what like a practice is quite liberal and diverse compared
Me
to
too. Right.
maybe someone coming out of Mysore, India these days, right? I'm like,
Totally.
do what you feel like. And if you want to do pigeon, do pigeon.
I love pigeon. I remember John Campbell was with Noah sometime in 93 or somewhere, and they were practicing, and John looked over at Noah and said, "Why are you grabbing your knees right now?" I was like, "That's what I was told to do." I was like, "We're not in Mysore, kid."
Oh, like in a backman?
In a backman, like, don't, like, really chill. This is not, Mysore time is a very specific time, and this is not what we do now.
Oh, that's a good answer. Lately, what I've been saying to my students is like, because I teach like a second series lead class, but it's not like, I say to them, second series lead, like with Patabi Joyce or with Sharat, was like running a marathon.
Yeah.
Because you can't run a marathon every day.
No.
You can't do that. You practice so that maybe you can run a marathon a couple times a year. But
Yeah,
like,
that's right.
You practice to keep your the floor of your practice stable and strong so that you can occasionally, even throughout the course of a week, like you don't run the marathon every day.
Exactly.
But maybe on Friday you want to just like stick with the count and we'll do the full primary series. But like, everything else is just to kind of like work the different aspects of it. So you have that.
Or go into the bathroom and fake it. Just pretend to be doing a practice. And then, like, he comes in once in a while and says, everyone doing? Oh, I'm doing it. Yeah, I'm doing it.
I think
The bathroom.
Bath-
I never practiced there, but I heard about the bathroom.
yeah, that's a great place.
I think that's like a good analogy because even when you're training for the marathon, you don't like always run your hardest, longest every
And you
day.
might work
You
on
do like a
different
short
aspects.
one, exactly.
Yeah.
Then
And
like
not-
a medium, a longer one, like maybe
Right.
just a walk. Like you're doing different things
And don't
too.
do it
Right.
at 4 in the morning. Don't run a marathon at 4 in the morning.
When you said that about the bathroom, all I could think of, do you guys remember in Lakshmi Puram, halfway up the steps?
Oh yeah, I
Nasty.
see. Don't go there.
That's not a place to practice.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Those were the days.
Yeah.
I mean, that was really nasty. Like, we were so crazy. And the other thing is, okay, like, you would do that, and then you would just basically go and drink, like, 20 coconuts and lay on some lady's floor for 4
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah.
Like, 3 sisters, and just like, because you couldn't do anything.
Yeah,
No.
that's the thing. It's
No.
it's not really a realistic
really
standard to
can't-
put on yourself day after day.
You can't do third and then do stuff.
And then like work a job and like take care of
No.
your kids
Stand
and drive
up.
them around and
No,
Take your
it's
dog
not.
for a walk. You can
And there
walk
are
your dogs
some really
after doing
type
third.
A hardcore people who do that.
yeah.
Yeah, but but for me, it's the things that having the perspective as we do, like, that's not sustainable. That's all. It's just not sustainable.
Yeah, your body, your energy, your emotions, something's gonna start to give. And I even remember when I had Jedi and he was quite young, I would feel like I just stopped getting up and practicing early. I'd practice like later in the day and I just would practice when I could unless I had someone who could watch him. But even
'Cause you
then it was
weren't
usually
sleeping.
at like 11 a.m. or something, you know?
Yeah.
And I noticed on the days that I would try and get up and practice early and do it before, I would be so irritable by like 3 or 4 p.m. And I was like, I'm not even a nice person right now. Like, I'm sick of myself and I have no patience for this small child who's done absolutely nothing except be
You
a
gave
baby.
it all. Right. And all you
practice.
needed maybe was a shorter practice or like
Yeah.
a softer practice. Yeah.
Exactly. And so that was like a real moment of like revelation and sort of like that light going on. If this practice isn't helping you be a better person in your life, it's not working. Like you're
Yeah.
doing something wrong.
I will say it's an interesting thing, but when I was pregnant, I'm trying to remember how this worked. It was like when I came to LA in the beginning, I wasn't immediately like hired by YogaWorks full time, and I was subbing, or what happened? Oh no, I was teaching the Mysore program on Montana. That's what it was, and it was 6 days a week. And then I was pregnant, and as my pregnancy progressed, well, I did that till the end. That's what it was, because I had taken it over, because like Chuck and Monty had left, and then
Yeah.
like they had sort of a couple years of like turning it over, right?
Yeah.
Well, after my daughter was born, it was like 2 months, 3 months. Like I was supposed to go back to my 6:30 a.m. Mysore class on the other side of town.
Oh my God.
And what ended up happening was the 11 o'clock Mysore program at Larchmont, which was closer to my house and at the much more ideal time, opened. And they sort of maneuvered things around to give that to me. And that's where I ended up spending like 15 years teaching. And so I taught 11 o'clock. 11 a.m. is Tim used to make fun of me. He was like, it's Ashtanga for slackers, you know? But really,
nice.
it was very civilized. He came there once and practiced, because he would come to town and like I would host. I did a whole
Yeah.
thing where I hosted a lot of workshops here as well for
Yeah.
a couple of years. And he would come and we would drink a lot of coffee. And
The occasional beer.
yeah, he would make fun of me. But that time was a very like nice time to teach.
Yeah.
And for people to practice, especially like people who had kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did
Ideal
the,
time to practice, if you
did-
ask me.
I did the 11 to 1 class at Stanford. That's when we did it.
Oh, right. I remember that, yeah.
And so that went on for 10 years, and the only people that ever bothered to come
Oh.
were the ladies from the development office.
Right.
And so it was like that little crew of ladies came in, the 10 of them, and I taught them all, and then they went out, and then I never got a single undergraduate except for Sonia's kids. And some
You had some
occasionally,
graduate students.
and occasionally a graduate student that was a real weirdo and like big into yoga.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
those times wouldn't work because they had classes.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
but I'm not here to talk about my Stanford program. but it was
It doesn't exist anymore. I
doesn't
don't think.
exist anymore. Yeah.
But those were good times, right? Those were good times.
Yeah. I was hustling, and so I had my program in the morning, and then I would do all the stuff with the Joyce Foundation, and then teach from 11 to 1, and do all the stuff with the Joyce Foundation afterward. And it was like, this is I now have like a real full-time life.
That's
and
right.
like, yeah. And
Yeah,
no time to actually do yoga.
Yeah, that went on for a couple years, right? And then
10.
things changed.
Yeah, things changed. Yeah. Did we ever do anything with the Joyce Foundation together? Did we email each other and do something?
I don't think so. Because
talk about
I
it?
went to the place in Encinitas that opened up. It was kitty corner from where Tim's old studio had been.
We know.
that was
Everybody
always
is aware.
Yeah. I would go down there, or maybe I was still in Chicago. I can't quite remember. But I would certainly go down there for big events and stuff. But
I probably rubbed elbows with you there then.
I'm pretty sure you and I came to San Francisco to see Patabi Joyce once. And
Oh, yeah, okay.
yeah, that was towards the end of his touring, I feel
So
like. It was
you were
the last
there
time.
when Sharat's father died.
That was
And,
that trip,
and
yeah.
then
And
they
Tim went.
left, and Tim went, and then Johnny taught the classes when
I wasn't
everybody
there
left.
for that. I feel like I was there earlier.
Tim took over the classes, and then Tim and Johnny, I think. Anyway,
I was
doesn't
there as
matter.
Johnny.
Yeah. No, but I remember Tim went and did this work. It was some big yoga journal. It was supposed to be like BK Iyengar and Patabi Joyce, and Tim went in as
yeah,
Patabi
you went
Joyce.
for that the yoga journal cover. Yeah.
It was like a conference, a yoga journal like interview or conference or
With a big deal.
one of their
yeah.
festivals or something.
I just want to acknowledge like that's how important Tim was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember, like, where's Tim? Where's
Yeah.
Tim? At the front of the room. Where's Tim?
Yeah, where's Tim?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Patabi Joyce really loved him. I think they had a really, really special relationship. I always felt also like practicing with Tim was like practicing with Patabi Joyce.
Yeah, the energy.
Like the energy felt so similar. I had this whole experience with Tim in one of his Mysore classes, and I had been a long time since I'd practiced with him, and I'd done all of third and some of fourth, and then I went to go do backbends, and he came to backbend me, and I had this total flash of Patabi Joyce.
Right?
Backbending me, and I was like, I haven't been backbended like this since Patabi Joyce. This is like
It
so
was so intense.
yeah,
For some
just
reason,
like
it was
so old
intense with Tim.
school. I don't know, in such a like, it just had like the same energy, the same feeling, the
Yeah.
same like, and
Yeah.
it was wild. I was like back in the Mysore shala.
The pranayama was the same too.
Oh, the pranayama in the morning.
Yeah,
Oh.
did that. And I had just come from learning it from Patabi Joyce, and I went in and was like, this is exactly the same.
Yeah.
Except we get a little break in the middle. which is
Tim
cool.
held a beautiful community for a really long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even in that last space, which was, like a shopping mall.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a cute little space. Cute little
Yeah,
shop.
no, I
You don't
adore
have
him.
any inside juice on how he's doing.
Once in a while, I'll send him a little text.
Yeah.
One time, he sent me a heart back
Oh,
because
that's nice.
something I'd sent him.
Yeah.
I hear things. I talk to people down there. He's okay.
He's okay.
He's okay.
Good.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm going to send him this link.
Yes,
So we
please
can
do.
send-
I
we
love
and
him
miss
so much.
And
I
so-
have so many fond memories of him, and we hosted him twice at our school in Victoria, and I just had so much fun hanging out with him. Once he stayed in our house, and it
So
was
great.
and then the other time we just like hung out and
Yeah.
went for dinners, and he's just such an
Yeah. very
amazing
generous
human. Yeah.
Dude. He
Yeah.
came and did something for us at the Joyce Foundation,
Oh, yeah.
teaching our classroom teachers. It was really,
Yeah.
really just a
Special.
great dude.
He has so much, knowledge
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
history.
and all heart. It's so interesting, like how different teachers. I think, like you're saying, Dina to me is so like she's sort of like so soul, like just so
Right,
lyrical.
She's soul.
She's and he's just all heart, just Hanuman like tearing
Nancy
his
was
chest
like
open.
Spirit.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Like
that was
it's like they're like kind of operating on these different levels of
totally.
Eddie's like all in the mind realm.
Or Richard.
Yeah,
Richard too,
yeah.
like lower mind, higher mind.
I remember I was at
So
Tim's, and Andrew and I were practicing together, and we were going through our series, And right at the end, Tim came up to us and he said, in the beginning, you really get really militant when you're teaching, but then that
so diplomatic, the way he said that to you, right?
But that really cools off after a while. And looked at the bullseye right in the eyes. You two. You two militant, orthodox young men. Gonna cool at some point.
Yeah, it's so special.
We've got a lot to gossip about and talk about.
Totally. It's so great to hang out with you guys. I really appreciate it.
You too. Tell
we've
everyone.
Rubbed elbows a number of times.
Yeah, last time I think was at Yoga Gives Back.
Yes, I know.
Were you there?
Yeah, not last
2
year,
years
the year
ago.
before we were there.
Did
Right
we-
before Sharat died.
I know. Yeah.
Oh, the day before Sharat died.
Was it really like
The
the
day before
Yeah.
Sharat died. Did we say hi? Did we?
Yeah. I said that.
I don't think I know you. I don't feel like we've. But
It's ridiculous. We should have known each
now
other.
we
for
know
20
each
years.
other.
Jodi and I talked.
Yes, we did.
me
And we
once in a
talked about
while,
doing
Jodi.
this.
We did. I know. It took us a while. It took us long enough.
Slide into my DMs once in a while.
I will. I have to follow you like on Insta. Is that your deal?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But
I don't have
in
a
the
deal.
meantime, tell everyone where they can follow you on Insta and come to all your online offerings and any other
thank you.
in-person things.
Yeah, everything I do, I post it on Instagram, Jodi Blumstein, and I have a link on my Insta in the bio that leads to my Zoom schedule. I have a library of classes. Most of what I do is online privates, online classes, group classes, and my library. But I do like to travel. I like to come and do workshops and retreats and stuff like that. I'm going to be doing more of that because my daughter's going to college in the fall, so I am planning to start like getting out into the world a little bit more and visiting people.
Good.
And thank you so much, you guys. It was a pleasure to just hang out.
Awesome. Really was.
History.
Yeah. Thank you. And we'll put all your links in the show notes. And
Thank
it
you
was
so
just
much.
so much fun to connect with you.
Right here. It's nice.
All right. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you. As we close this conversation today, maybe just take a moment and notice what's landing for you. Not just what you're thinking about, but also what you're feeling when it comes to your practice, your teaching, if you're a teacher, and the way you're showing up in your life and your work right now. Because evolution doesn't happen by accident. It happens when we're willing to slow down, to question, to refine, to meet ourselves and be honest, to be truthful with ourselves about what's changing inside of us at a deeper level. And this is the kind of work and space that I hold inside my Lightworker Mastermind for teachers, healers, creators who are ready to move beyond surface level growth into something more integrated, more aligned, and more sustainable. So if you're feeling the pull, you're invited. There's an application link waiting for you in the show notes. And until next time, keep listening, keep learning, keep slowing down and refining, and trusting that your path is leading you forward to where you are meant to be.
That's it. We've concluded another episode of the Finding Harmony podcast. I just want to thank you so much for doing the work that changes the world, starting with yourself. It truly does make a huge difference. Please make sure you have your automatic downloads turned on wherever you listen so you don't miss any of the upcoming episodes. I have so much more magic I can't wait to share with you. Lastly, if you're on Instagram, I love connecting and hearing from you. So come on over and say hello at Finding Harmony Podcast. And you can also come say hello to me personally at Harmony Slater Official. Thank you again for being here. I cannot wait to share more with you in our next episode.